Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg, and welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. We are playing Castlevania Chronicles on the PlayStation. This is a PlayStation re-release and port, I guess, of a remake of the original Castlevania that was put out on... oh god, I don't even know the name of the console. That's how random it is. Let me see. The Sharp X68000. It was the Sharp console. Or really, it's a home computer. Yeah, so it was a remake of the original released for that, and but no one ever really played that. That was pretty obscure, and so they re-released it with some changes for the PlayStation back in 2001. So yeah, you know, I've been doing my whole series playthrough of Castlevania, and I'm still on Castlevania 64, but in the meantime, I've been playing through the other games on my own. I finished Circle of the Moon. That was pretty decent, and so now I'm on this. I'm not loving it. You know, it's a throwback to an old school style, but it's not as good as, like, Rondo of Blood. And it's really difficult, and for some reason my save states don't work, so I don't know. It's difficult. That's what I'll say. It's difficult. But, you know, here it is. And so that's all there is to really say about that. This week on this channel, I finished Final Fantasy X. That is all uploaded now. It is done. If you haven't been following along, rest easy. It is finished. You don't have to worry about Titus anymore. So that's good. I mean, that's a great game. So I'm glad to finally have a Let's Play of it on the channel. And so what follows then is, of course, Final Fantasy XII, which is a game that, if you're planning on watching that Let's Play, I think I was a little bit more critical of that game than I probably ended up being in the end. Especially, I mean, it'll take some time before we get to this point, but after finishing Final Fantasy XIII, I softened my stance on Final Fantasy XII a little bit. So, as usual, you can probably ignore most of my rants. Although, I don't know if there were any major rants during Final Fantasy XII. It is a game I actually do want to replay, so I enjoyed it at least enough for that. Yeah, it was decent. So, yeah, that'll be another 20-some part Let's Play or something. I don't know the exact number, but it's up there. It's a lengthy game. And yeah, and that. And so then after that, there will be Final Fantasy 13, of course, and then Final Fantasy 15, of course, and then a few videos where I finish up Final Fantasy 3, And then after that, there'll be like my ranking video where I rank all the Final Fantasies in my opinion. And then there'll be a Let's Play of Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. Damn it. Which isn't too long. I mean, that's a pretty quick and easy game if you know what you're doing. And then, now I've decided... Well, I was in the mood to play Final Fantasy Tactics. And I was like, well, why not do a Let's Play of it? So I'm recording a Let's Play of Final Fantasy Tactics, which is coming along pretty nicely. We're probably 60% done with that. But then I was like, well, if I'm going to do a Let's Play of Final Fantasy Tactics, I'd be remiss if I didn't also do Let's Plays of the other Final Fantasy Tactics games on the Game Boy Advance. So, yeah, I'm planning on doing all three. So, yeah, you're going to have Final Fantasy content for a while. After that, I think that'll probably be it. I can't imagine there's much else with Final Fantasy that I would want to do Let's Plays of. Like Crisis Core? I don't think so. Final Fantasy X-2? No. So, I don't know. That'll probably be it. Crystal Chronicles? Who knows? So yeah, that's that plan. We also have been continuing Monster Boy, which is a great game. For some reason, the 5th video messed up. I don't know what happened. I didn't even realize it. No one commented on it for like days until Satan finally said something. I didn't even realize the video was 9 minutes long. So yeah, something happened with the rendering, but it's been re-uploaded and remedied. So that'll continue. And that's pretty much it. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. You know, when Monster Boy finishes, who knows? There's probably something on the horizon that'll be interesting. If not, there will always be the new Doom. The 2016 Doom or whatever. The latest Doom. That is ready to go whenever I need it. Yeah. That's where we're at with this channel. Over on the other channel, that other little channel I run, called the Exploring Series, we did something. I had 2 videos. One of them, oh, they were both depressing, that's right. Yeah, so the main video this week was on SCP-3001, The Red Reality, which is one that I really think is pretty cool, pretty interesting, a good story. And people seem to agree, they like that one. And then I put out a video on SCP-2718. What happens after, or something like that. And that is another one that I thought was interesting. It just so happens we have sort of 2 depressing SCPs in a row. But the 2718 video broke a record for me by quite a bit. for the most views in one day, in the first day. A long time ago, or what seems like it now, my philosophy was, all I wanted was to get 10K on the first day, based on a Childish Gambino lyric. And, there was a time where that was, like, impossible. Like, I could never do that. And then it finally happened. I don't remember the video. It was definitely in the Middle-earth series, I think. Because I remember Tom Bombadil did like 15K on the first day. And so, yeah, 10K on the first day was like the goalpost. And I started to hit it on occasion. Not incredibly often, but on occasion it would be like, oh man, that's awesome. That's all. I feel big baller. And then it became where if I don't get 10K on the first day, it's disappointing. It's like, oh, the video didn't perform that well. It's not a big hit. Damn it. And then, so the record became like 20K, and then 30K. And recently with SCP, the record was 40K. That was my record before this week. It was 41K. Now, thanks to that SCP video, my record is 61,000 on the first day. Within it, I basically count just a 24-hour period. So yeah, we moved up the record quite a bit thanks to that video. I don't know why everyone wanted to click on that. Maybe it was the thumbnail. Thumbnails are pretty important. Maybe it's just people were intrigued by that. I mean, I know I'm getting hundreds and hundreds of new subscribers every day, and so all these people are more likely to click on a new SCP video, so that's helping. And, you know, the records are probably going to keep coming on, but thanks to having a new record for views in the first day, that also, of course, set a new record for revenue in one day, which was, well, I'm not going to tell you, but it was pretty good. So yeah, I've had a very good season. Very good winter-fall season here, thanks to SCP. The real question, of course, is sustainability. You know, after the holidays, ad rates plummet by 50%. And more than that, for me, you know, eventually SCP is going to wane. Partly due to how I make the videos. If I just did readings, and believe me, I'm tempted. I've been tempted to just do readings. Partly because I don't think most people even notice the difference or care. You know, people watching like the Volgan or whatever, you know, who's like, you know, the #1 SCP channel. And he just does readings. Pretty much. People don't even realize. I've had comments where it's like, oh, the Volgan told this story much better. And it's like, he didn't tell a story, he read a story. I'm telling a story. And it's like, you know, all the research and the summarization, you know, the writing that I have to do, and all that, and it's just like, I could just fucking read a page off the internet and be done. Not to diminish, you know, the Volgan and other really good readers that do different voices and things like that, and actually good narrators. There are good narrators and bad narrators, but at the end of the day, all they're doing is reading. And so I know there are people that definitely appreciate and comment saying, like, oh, you know, this channel, you're really doing something a lot different than all the other channels, and I really appreciate it. This is great. You really explain things and add your own voice to it, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, thank you. But for the most part, I don't know, man. It would be a lot easier and more sustainable for me to just read everything. Because then, if you just do reading, you can read pretty much every SCP article. There are some weird ones where my format does work better. But Otherwise, you just read, and for the long ones, you have like a 50-minute video, you throw 4 ads in there or something like that, and people just eat it up and like, oh, this was amazing. Now, I don't know. I don't know if they would say that about my readings. But, maybe. So, I don't know. I won't do it, you know. I have this sense of integrity, I guess, where I just believe in my summaries, and I think it's the better route. But, yeah, I mean, I've certainly been tempted. Because my point was, I am going to run out of SCPs that I want to summarize. Either because there's just not... Fuck. There's not fuck. There's not... Well, really, there's not enough worthy of summarization, I guess. You know, there's just a lot of little SCPs, little short ones that are interesting. But for me to make a summary video on them, it would just be like 3 minutes or whatever, and it would just be a waste of everyone's time. Because in those instances, it's really just better to read it or have it read to you. You know, either way. You don't gain anything in the summary. There's no need for an explanation or anything like that. And so I'm mitigating that somewhat. What? I'm mitigating that somewhat by taking a bunch of those smaller SCPs I normally wouldn't cover and combining them with some sort of central theme, such as a connection to a faction, or I'm planning to do some, like the Halloween SCPs. You know, most of those would never get their own video, but because I combined them, I was able to talk about a bunch of them. That's not to say they're bad or they're uninteresting or anything like that. It's just they're too short. I fucked that up completely. And so, yeah, I'm going to reach a point, absolutely, probably in 2019, where I just look over the list and it's like, I don't know what else to talk about. And so, next month, I'm planning to do a poll to decide the next series. But I am continuing SCP. That is still going to be the main series that I cover. This is a side series. But basically, for me to be successful in the future, for me to have continued success, I need to take all these fans that I'm getting of SCP, you know, people that are here just for SCP, and I need to convert them into fans of other videos. I need to convert them into Warcraft fans, or Warhammer fans, or, I don't know, Doctor Who, whatever, you know, it doesn't matter what I do. I need them to be fans of something that I'm doing so they keep watching. So I don't have to pretty much start fresh. Not that, you know, at this point I would ever start anything fresh. I do have a lot of fans that will watch anything. But we need to get a lot of these SCP fans to stick around after SCP. So, I think the only way for that to be done is gradually. So instead of cutting off a series completely, which is, for the most part, what I do, I need to wean people into other series. So we might go through a couple side series before I'm done with SCP. And there might be a point where SCP becomes the side series and something else becomes the main series. So I put out an SCP video, you know, once every week and a half or 2 weeks, and I switch to some other series to be once a week. Who knows? So yeah, it's tricky, it's unknown. I have no idea, you know, where the channel will end up, if it'll continue to be successful. But that's the nature of the internet, and, you know, fame and celebrity in general, I guess. You never know what could happen to you. So, you know, I am reaping the rewards of a fortunate channel choice at the time, and really, the fact that this has been my biggest series, and the fact that it's like been during the most lucrative time of the year to be on YouTube, that combo was really good. You know, if I had hit SCP in like May, it would have been nice. You know, obviously we would have had just as many new fans and all that, and the views, but the ad rates would have been, you know, cut in half. So it was good. It was good timing. It all worked out. So tomorrow there will be the video on SCP-184, the Architect, which is another one of my old favorites for back in the old days. I was definitely well aware of it. It's pretty cool. I get to talk about the Kowloon Walled City a little bit more again, show off some more pictures of that. I hope that drives some views to my original Kowloon Walled City, because that video did not get enough love. And people have been bugging me ever since the 001 video, where they're like, oh, why didn't you talk about the truth? You know, 184 is the real 001. Why didn't you talk about that? And it's like, well, because this is a video about 001 proposals, and that was not a 001 proposal. That was a tale. But since I'm doing a video about 184, I can definitely include the most important tale related to it. So this was a good chance. It was better to do it now than in the 001 video, because if I included it in the 001 video, it would have been like 30 seconds of a very quick summary, and I would have had to explain both 184 and the tale itself, whereas here, half of the video is related to the tale. And you already know all about 184 because I just explained it, and it worked out a lot better. So that's why, numbnuts, I know how to make YouTube videos. Anyways, so I think it was a pretty good video. My mom, who watches all the videos before they get released, because she's very supportive, she says that it's the best one I've done. She's not like SCP that much. So I thought that was high praise. We'll see how people like it. I like it because I like the Kowloon Walled City. And I like the concept, and the tale, the truth is pretty interesting. But we'll see. Will I break another record? I don't know. Will I die in Castlevania Chronicles? Yes. So that's tomorrow. Thursday this week, instead of another SCP video, I'm doing a live Q&A. It is going to be entirely live from start to finish. And it's not specifically connected to SCP, but I know that's going to be what most of the questions are about. So it makes me a little nervous because I'm not an encyclopedia. And so people are going to be like, when are you going to... They're going to ask me questions about, like, talk about SCP-679, please, and give me your opinion on it. It's like, I have no... what... You know, I have a few SCP numbers memorized, as does every SCP fan. You know, if you stick around long enough, you get a bunch in your head, and you're like, oh yeah, that's that one. You know what SCP-354 is, and all the big ones, 682, and 173, and 3008. But yeah, I don't have most numbers memorized. So that's a little bit of a concern for the Q&A, but it'll probably be okay. It should be an interesting time. I'll get to answer all my headcanon questions about SCP. People ask me all the meme questions, and I'll get to shut them down, because I don't like any of that shit. That's the plan. Bullshit. Yeah. That's about all there is to say about that. So, let us talk about role Mangg. Let's see, when we left off, we were on the planet. We were on this planet that was messed up, that had the moon crash into it and all that kind of stuff. And it was not looking pretty. There were like dust storms and tsunamis, and the planet was in shambles. You know, the locals were just losing their minds, and we were there to steal a shipping container full of credits. That was what we were there for. Damn it, holy water goes away too fast. Yeah. So we knew, thanks to my precognition, we knew where the shipping container was and what it held. So we had swooped in there while the locals were all shooting at us with their little laser pistols and stuff, and we were gonna just hook this shipping container up with some wires and just fly it out of here. That was the plan. Damn it. That was the plan. And that's pretty much exactly what happened. We got to the shipping container, we hooked it up, and we flew it out of there. And we really had no complications whatsoever. And the shipping container held 350,000 credits, which for, 20 minutes of work is pretty good. Pretty good. If every scavenging job goes that well, it's all good. As we're sort of hanging around, damn it, we get a few hails, we get a few calls from locals. One of them is from like some business that presumably owned this shipping container, telling us to like land at their facility or something. They have questions for us, and it's like, yeah, okay, asshole, we're gonna do that real fast. Another was from some guy that was just some guy, and he needed a ride off planet, and in exchange for us getting him off planet, he would damn it, there's no way. I think I'm this good at Castlevania? Doesn't matter how many of these games I play. In exchange for us taking him off planet, he was going to tell us the location of some vault that had some valuables in it. We also got a call from a family of farmers that also wanted to get off planet. There was like 6 of them or something. And so, of course, we ignored the company that wanted us to come to their facility for questioning or whatever. I couldn't ignore the family of farmers. You know, Katsu's got a bit of a bleeding heart, and it's getting worse every day. So he agreed to come pick up the farmers. As for the guy with the vaults, the thing is, really, Katsu very strongly believes in his precognition ability. He'll make many, many decisions because of it. And so, oh God, the Medusa heads. Oh God, why? I have infinite lives, by the way, if you didn't notice. I'm not going to play a Castlevania game without that. Hard enough as it is. God damn it. Katsu strongly believes in his precognition abilities, and so I had spent time on the way to the planet using my precognition a bunch of times in order to figure out what was the most valuable thing on the planet. And that directed us to that shipping container. Now, inside the shipping container were piles of credit sticks, or whatever. You know, piles of credits, cash. So, you know, think of it just as a huge mountain of $20 bills. Now, I had said what was the most valuable thing on the planet. Now, with that in mind, if it had just pointed me to, like, a $20 bill, you know, because that's what each thing was inside that container, I wouldn't have gone there because it was just a $20 bill. But it pointed me to this whole shipping container, and so it counted all of them, all the credits, all the $20 bills, as one thing, making it the most valuable thing on the planet. Right? So with that in mind, this vault that this guy was talking about could not be more valuable than what we had just found. So no matter what, this thing could not exceed 350,000 credits in value, right? If it had just, you know, if we were counting just individual items, this would have pointed me to a completely different direction, and it's possible that the vault would have been better. It's also possible Ziggy did not plan this vault when he originally told me about the shipping container, and so, you know, the precognition basically lied due to DMs coming up with new information. But I was not going to use precognition again, because that just didn't make any sense within the game. Katsu knows that this shipping container is the most valuable thing on the planet. Now, it's also possible that this vault he's referring to is off-planet, in which case it could be more valuable than the shipping container, because I did not precog, you know, to the whole system or something. So it could be possible if this was off-planet, and that's what we wanted to know. So we asked the guy, you know, is this vault on-planet or off-planet? And he said, you know, I won't tell you until you pick me up. And we said, like, we're about to leave if you don't tell us this. And he said he'll take his chances elsewhere. And it's like, alright, well then fuck you, buddy. Not even willing to tell us on-planet or off-planet. That seems like pretty general information, but... Alright, so... It's possible it was some off-planet vault worth 3 million credits. But he seemed real shady. Slim shady. And so I just decided against it. And so we took the family of farmers. And I'm like, okay, we need to find a home for these people. You know, they're farmers. That's what they know. That's what they want to do. That's their life. So we can't just take them back to Drethic, the trade hub of the galaxy. Coruscant, basically. You know, they can't live on Coruscant. And it's possible we could give them funds to maybe charter some ride elsewhere, but, you know, again, Katsu's just a good guy, and he's not going to do that. He's going to handle this himself. So, we looked at some other viable planets. One was the Explorers Guild, like, headquarter planet. But it turns out that that planet is, like, frozen for some reason. People live on it, but it's a lot like our starting planet where, you know, there are concessions made for people living there, and it's not a normal, healthy planet. Damn it. And so I'm like, okay, that's ruled out. The next planet then was like, it was perfect. It was very lush, green. It was ruled by like these beast people, but they were like cool, nice beast people. And they were high-tech, but it was a very fertile, natural planet. I was like, all right, this is the place. We're gonna put him here. And the farmer, the main guy, was aware of the planet. He apparently had a friend or something that used to travel the galaxy, and he had told them stories about this planet. So he was aware of it, and he was perfectly fine going there, taking his family there. I was like, all right, good, because that's where you're going. And so we set course for this planet. I think it was called like Yolis or something, or Yolin. It was called Yolin. So I used Precog to figure out like where is the most peaceful place on this planet to drop off this family. And so I got my answer. And so we set course, we get there, and we get hailed by some of their ships and stuff, wondering what the hell we're doing. And I explained the situation, you know, and completely truthfully. This planet was doomed, and we rescued this group of family of farmers, and they want to make a new life here as refugees. And so they're like, okay, you can land. You'll have to tell this story to the local warlord or whatever. And so we did. And we were greeted very warmly by this guy. He was a good beast guy, you know, lion man. That ran this clan, this city. And I learned that he also was a precog. And he had seen a vision of my coming. Just as I had seen a vision of me coming here. So we were working together with our visions, and he took this as a very important sign. Because we learned that the religion of this planet is based around a deity known as Hugod, which, of course, was Thomas's lion god character in Godbound, in our Godbound campaign. So they worship Hugod, and he believed that his visions were sent from Hugod. So we ate dinner there, we feasted. Most of us drank this special liquid they called the God's Blood. Mert did not, because he's a real asshole. And come on, come on, come on, come on, come on! Oh, nice. And so he told us, he told me, really, of another vision that he's had recently. Of the destruction of his planet, of Yolin. Basically, in this system that this planet is in this system, there are 2 black holes. Which is pretty unfortunate. But so far they have been kept in balance, and nothing has come of it. But his vision saw something, some sort of catalyst, drawing these two black holes together, which resulted in, like, the destruction and consumption of the entire system. And so he's not sure when this is ever going to happen, how this is ever going to happen, who's going to be responsible, but he worries that this is going to come to pass, resulting in the complete destruction of Yolen. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Obviously Katsu does not want this to happen. That's horrible. But who would gain from such an act if this was an intentional act of destruction? And the only ones I could think of that would be savage enough would be the Law of Cain, but it really doesn't fit their MO, because they are generally only interested in kidnapping people for some purpose, rather than just wanton destruction. So it really doesn't fit their MO either. So then maybe, you know, you think, well, it's not an intentional act. This is done accidentally, somehow. In which case, how do we prevent that? And so, you know, I said that I would keep my ear to the ground. I would keep a lookout for anything that might cause this. Because I would like to prevent it, but I don't really know how to go about doing that. I can precog, of course, but right now I can only use that a week into the future. I can only look a week into the future, which not much happens a week into the future on that scale. I mean, maybe it'll happen a week in the future, but I kind of doubted it. Yeah, that's not going to work. So the family were given, like, agriculture jobs. Yolen apparently had need of people like them that knew about farming. And so they were integrated nicely. It all seemed to work out. And that was pretty much it. We went on our way. You know, I thought about at first, like, doing some scavenging here, but these people seem very territorial, and they're beastmen, and it just probably would be more trouble than it would be worth. So I decided against it. Because we don't want to be, you know, we want to draw a distinction between being thieves and being scavengers. We are scavengers. Now, yeah, we probably stole that shipping container, but, you know, it was just sitting there, and the planet was doomed. Chances are that shipping container would have been just washed away with a tsunami. So I think it worked out. So we left the planet. All was well. We had done a good deed, so on and so forth. But a question remained about our next destination. We got a news report that sent me thinking for quite a while about the fact that Drethic was moving, like, all of their navy to the home planet of the Explorers Guild, because that was apparently a key, like, nexus point for them to, for the Drethic government, military, to launch an attack on the Law of Cain. So most people in the galaxy knew about the Law of Cain and knew they were bad news, but they didn't know what they were doing with these people. And they really didn't know anything about their, like, organization or philosophy, or, like, they were just a mystery, pretty much. But Drethic apparently did not like the Law of Cain at all. And so they were launching a full-scale invasion attack on their home planet, which was Nod. Like, how the fuck are you supposed to... And they were working with the Explorers Guild, which I thought was supposed to be a very neutral party, but here they took a stance, because apparently they hate the Law of Cain as well. Or maybe they didn't have much of a choice due to the military and political might of Drethic. And so I'm not a fan of the Law of Cain either, because they're kidnapping people, which is not really a good thing. It, you know, generally not a good thing. So I'm fine with the Law of Cain getting, you know, diminished and scattered and blah, blah, blah. But I also am not a fan of Drethic either. Due to the way they sort of screwed over my home planet. They swooped in, tore down the old empire that my family came from, and just started mining the planet for their own gain. So I was not a big fan of that. And I feel that Drethic might end up just being too big of a political and military power. Basically, the Empire. And so I don't want there to be an empire that control half the system. So I have my concerns because I feel like Drethic is going to win. You know, maybe the Law of Cain has done something really nuts and they could win, in which case the Law of Cain becomes the Empire. But I felt there needs to be a third power. There needs to be a third group here to balance things out. Because one of these groups is going to end up winning. And I feel that the winning group is going to become a dominant force in the system. That's what I feel. And so I had an idea to form an alliance. A separatist alliance, you might say. A republic, really. I feel like that's the best bet. Because really, you know, Drethic is Drethic. No one else has any say on what the fuck they do. They just swoop in and push your shit in. And you can't do anything about it because you're just one planet. So we need a republic with equal voices. That's my plan. And so I thought, okay, you know, we've got a foundation in Yolen. You know, we really only talked to like one leader there. I don't know how their central government works. I don't think they even have a central government. So it would definitely take some time to get them all on board. But, you know, if things get rolling and we have a republic, you know, we could have some Yolen senators that might be on board, and they might start working together a little bit better. And so I thought, okay, you know, we're really just going to need allies. We're going to need to convince planets that this is the right course of action, that it's best for everyone, regardless of, you know, who wins that war between Nod and Drethic. And this is a way to have an alliance of you know, mutual benefit and protection. To get allies, the easiest way is to start with people you're already familiar with, you know, friends. And so I thought, okay, let's go, since we're not that far away, let's go to Avalon, our starting planet, where I'm from, my planet. Because I had put a woman pretty much in charge. I had given her the power to switch, to change the hands of power. And so she should see me as a friend because of that. And she might be on board to, you know, help start this alliance. So let's go there and see how, you know, open she is to the idea. The problem is, most people with power tend to abuse power. And so she became an empress and a despot, really. Oh yeah, I'm definitely dying here, by the way. And so, God, you've got to go all the way up through this clock tower and then fight this thing. Oh my God. Let me just turn on infinite health. I'm never gonna beat this otherwise. I don't care. Infinite health. There you go. See how that works. So yeah, we arrive on planet. We find that the situation has grown much worse since we left. People are starving in the streets. And she is living a life of luxury and decadence in her palace. She is known only as the Empress now. And Avalon's prospects look very bad because, I mean, one, the people are dying, which is not good. And two, the planet really has almost no natural resources anymore. Its one claim to fame and power, the Orosite... No, the Azurite. Orosite is Final Fantasy Tactics. The Azurite is depleted. That's why Drethik left. The planet is basically just a wasteland at this point. And it's not being helped by this Empress. And so I'm like, you know, okay, let's meet with the Empress. Maybe she'll be open to something to help her planet and her people. But, you know, as I'm walking through the streets and seeing the starvation and seeing her guards just covered in, like, Azurite armor and weapons and just, you know, they're looking fantastic and everyone else is just, it's like Burma or something, you know, who knows? It's just shit. And I'm like, this is not a woman that is going to respond to logic and reason. Especially because the guy at the star, at the base, the port, the starport, he's like, oh, don't refer to her as Contessa, you know, anymore. Make sure you call her Empress. And it's like, this is not a sane person. And so we get on a tram. I honestly did not even... I was not even aware we got on the tram because I was lost in thought about the whole situation. So I did not realize we got on the tram, to be honest. But we get on this tram that goes to the palace, and we're there with a few guards dressed in full Azurite armor and weapons. They're looking badass. We had left our power armor back on the ship because we did not want to appear hostile in any way. We just wanted to be peaceful. So we had some weapons, but we were pretty much unarmored. And we're on this tram, and Ziggy gives me a vision. Because I have an ability, a precog ability, where if I sense, if there's imminent danger in my near future, I will get an automatic vision to tell me about it. So I did not even precog this situation, like, purposefully. I did not ask a question. Ziggy just provided this one to me because he knew there was trouble. And so he tells me that if I go into the palace, I will never come back out. And I'm just like, well, that's good to know. So now, you know, I can't go in the palace, no matter what, you know. Even if I die in a shootout, that's better than going in the palace. Who knows what happens there. I'm like, okay, can't go in the palace. We're on a train that goes straight to the palace with a bunch of guards that know I want to speak to the Empress. How do I get out of this? And so I thought, okay, I can try talking my way out. If that fails, there's really only one option. Because I can't go in the palace. So the tram arrives. We're in front of like the walkway that leads up to the palace. And I like take a step out. Everyone else is still on the tram. I was the first one. So I take like a step out. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? I forgot my gift for the Empress. It's back on the ship. You know, I'm like, if you just give me like 20 minutes, I'll be back with the gift and you know, I won't upset her by coming with no offering. And he considered it, and I rolled the talk, and I failed, of course. And he's like, well, you know, she would be upset without a gift, but she'd be more upset if you were late. Which is kind of surprising. I didn't even know she knew I was coming until, like, you know, 15 minutes ago. But apparently, yeah, she's waiting for me now. So I'm like, okay, something's about to happen. I have to do this right. Starting a shootout right here, right now, would be our death. They have way better armor, and we're in somewhat close quarters here. Everyone's still in the tram. It would just be a bloodbath. We're outnumbered. It's bad. Because at this point, Mert was gone. He had left. So we were outnumbered and outarmed. So I'm like, I gotta get the tram out of here. I have to get us moving immediately. And so fortunately, very fortunately, the tram was small. It was basically just like a passenger section, and then there was like a glass door that led to a little booth where the controls were and the pilot sat. And so we could see into where the controls were. Which allowed me to teleport, because all I need is line of sight. So I teleported from like the entrance of the tram into where the controls were, and then I immediately just slammed the controls forward, or in reverse, or whatever led us back to where we came from. And so a couple of the guards were already off the tram at that point. Meaning, we were in motion, and there were 4 of us, and then there were 3 guards and the pilot. So it was even number, especially because the pilot was not armored. I think he might have had a laser pistol, but okay. And we were in motion, so, you know, no one else was going to just jump on at any time. We rolled initiative, and very fortunately, this would not have worked if I had gone even second, really. Well, maybe, but very fortunately, I went first. I rolled an 8, and I had to roll a tie against 2 of the guards, who also rolled 8s. But on my second roll, I rolled another 8, which, you know, it's a D8, so that was very good. It was very good. And so I'm like, okay, they are in what we would call a kill box. They are unarmored. I'm talking about my associates. They're in this passenger car of this tram. They are unarmored. Really, none of them have that much combat ability. Our really main combat guy is Mert, and he's not here. So They're unarmored, they don't have a lot of combat ability, and they are surrounded by 3 well-trained, well-armored, dangerous thugs, bodyguards. The Empress's guards, pretty much. And so I'm like, they will be butchered. That was my thought. And Ziggy later confirmed this very much to me. He said, like, their Azurite weapons did 1d8 plus 2 damage each. And they know how to use them. So, yeah, it would have been a butchering. It would have been horrible. I needed to end this as quickly as possible. And so, I chucked a concussion grenade into the passenger car. Meaning, very close quarters, contained location with a concussion grenade going off. It was devastating, to say the least. My plan was that, since Thomas was a robot, he would not be affected as much by, like, the light and sound and stuff like that. He would not be as devastated. And I was right. He was not as devastated. And it was pretty much, I think, as good a plan as anything I could do in the situation. I think it worked out better than almost anything else I could have done. Because the pilot died instantly, and one of the guards died instantly. Studs was brought down to 1 health. Phil was not looking good. Thomas took some damage, but not a lot. And since I was the farthest away, I took some damage, but not a lot. And so one of the guards went next, and he got a cut in on Thomas. He cut Thomas a bit. Nothing hugely major, but he hit him. Fuck. Oh, I have infinite health, I forgot. And what the hell? Okay. Oh, I see. Then basically we just gunned down the remaining 2 guards, and that was it. So we all survived, and we killed all of them. I mean, you know, we took damage, all of us, and Studs was not happy being at 1 health. But if I had not done that and they had just gone into a fight, it would have been terrible. It would have been absolutely terrible. Trust me. We were not combat ready. So anyways, the concussion grenade sort of shook the tram off its rails. Fortunately, it didn't break any of the windows because this was like the Empress's special tram. So they had super reinforced windows. But it did shake it off the rails, and we needed to put it back on, which of course fell to the engineer of the group, Phil. And since this tram sort of weaved in and out of above ground, underground, and stuff like that, we were in a portion of the route where there was a vacuum outside. So, you know, you need air, and there was no air. And we did not have vac suits because we were not planning to need them. And so we just told Phil to hold his breath. And that's what he did. He got us fixed, but I think he got this like debuff where he would take like -3 on all his rolls or something until he rested. So he was not in Good condition. But now I'm thinking, okay, we're on our way back to where we left, but our problems aren't done yet, because we're in a tram with 4 dead people, and we're heading back to a spot that we had just left, saying that we were going to meet the Empress. So there were more guards where we left. We were going to encounter them. And so I thought about it for a moment, and I'm just like, there is no way I can talk my way out of this. It is impossible. Impossible. You know, I'm not the type of person that's just like, oh, if you just roll and you roll really well, you can get away with anything. I don't like that. Realistically, there is no way I can talk my way out of this. So there's no point in even trying. We're going to end up in a worse position because they're just going to shoot us point blank. We need to get the element of surprise. We need to get the ambush. And so that does not involve talking. So... Whoa, this is different. So, I decided... perhaps not maybe as good of a plan as the concussion grenade, but I decided... Oh, that's cool. I like that a lot. It's just a painting. A giant-ass painting. I decided that I was going to let off a smoke grenade inside the tram to basically conceal us. They would not be able to see us or the bodies because there would just be a train full of smoke. We would have to hold our breath, we would have to get low, but once we arrived, they'd open the doors, the smoke would billow out, and they would be very confused, and then we would ambush them. Aided by me sort of teleporting behind them. And so that's exactly what happened. The smoke billowed out. They were all like prone with their guns ready, waiting. The 2 guards sort of were very confused, but started walking into the tram. I teleported behind them, shot one point blank in the head and killed him. It took us a little bit of work to kill the other one. I sort of fucked up on my rolls after that. But Phil took a couple shots. He actually died. Well, he had 0. He went unconscious. I did end up killing the other guard. And we did manage to get Phil back. We stabilized him. I think Thomas did it. And I'm like, alright, well, now the jig is up. Get back to the ship. Because at this point, I had made a decision about what to do here. It's not going to be an easy decision. Perhaps it's not even the smartest decision. But it is an emotional decision. And I think it's always good for our character to make some of those. These were my people. I was a noble of this planet. And, you know, I had been raised with these stories of the old power of Avalon and how great it was. You know, this was... We were the, like, power in this system. This was a planet of wealth and glory and honor. And so to see it fall so far and to see my people starving because of this Empress and Drethic and all this that had just fucked this planet over. Katsu had reached a limit. He had enough. So, we get back to the ship, and I tell Thomas, I'm like, you go with Hoshi. Take the ship, take the Excelsior, fly over to the Empress's palace, and turn it into a fucking crater. That's what I told him. The rest of us are going to climb aboard this bulk freighter. So, the only other ship at the starport other than our ship was a bulk freighter belonging to the Explorers Guild. So this was, this is a freighter used for transporting large amounts of resources and trade goods and things like that. And so that's where we ended the session, was me telling Thomas to go turn the palace into a crater and saying the rest of us are going to go onto this bulk freighter. I didn't say what we were doing with the bulk freighter, but I will let you know. I'm planning to take it and perform an exodus from this planet. I'm planning to take all the people that are willing to go off of Avalon, which I assume is going to be a lot of them, and we're going to go to a new planet. We're going to turn it into New Avalon, and that's where the seat of the Republic is going to be. That's my plan. Now, I don't really like pissing off the Explorers Guild. So, we're going to go in there with our power armor on and try and stay incognito and hope that the crew of this ship never learns exactly who did this. So we might have to, like, keep them knocked out or something and delete some logs, or I don't know. I don't want them knowing exactly where New Avalon is, or I don't know. It's going to be tricky. It's not a perfect plan, but by God, I got to do something. These are my people. So yeah, it's not going to be easy starting a new civilization from scratch. We're going to have to find sort of a somewhat empty planet that is also lush enough to support a new civilization. We can't go to some planet that's like Avalon where we have to live underground or something like that. We just don't have the resources and equipment to start that up. God damn it. But that's my plan. Whatever happens, Katsu just wanted to be on his own ship and be a scavenger and make some money, but he's had an emotional change of heart after seeing what happened to his people. Which I think, is a good character growth thing. It's interesting. I don't want to be, I have this trend, I guess, in recent games of becoming sort of a political leader or something like that. The Sprawl campaign where I became mayor, stuff like that. So I don't want to be like an emperor or anything like that, or a chancellor, or anything like that. I don't want to run the Republic. I just want it to exist, and I will do whatever it takes to help start it. God, I make this mistake every time. So yeah, we're gonna see what happens. We could all die in a fiery explosion. We could get shot. I mean, anything could happen. Once Katsu dies, who knows what'll happen. Things really change. I've just sort of accepted now that I just tend to mold a campaign. I tend to be the governing force about the direction of a campaign. I do enjoy that. And I think we've had enough time now. We've had enough campaigns, enough sessions where if people really had a problem with that, they would have either stopped coming or they would have said something about it, and they're like, you're really just hogging the campaign and hogging the spotlight and blah, 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 blah. But I think people tend to be fine just going along with things because it's always interesting. I try to always keep things interesting. So scavenging would be interesting, but starting a republic to fight against an empire is also kind of interesting. We'll see how it goes. There will be plenty of laser blasts and spaceship battles and who knows what. It's gonna be interesting. All right. I guess that about wraps us up. So, check out the SCP-184 video tomorrow. Q&A later this week. We've got Final Fantasy 12 starting, probably tonight. And some more Monster Boy. But my name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. I'll see you fine folks next week.